Okay, let's do some grapes today. Usually the first thing I do when I'm sitting down to carve is clean my hands with some alcohol. Keep it in a little squeeze bottle, especially the bottoms of my hands that I rest on the carving. Just keep the paper towels and alcohol nearby. My early basswood carvings have like a gray sheen to all the highlights, so I find it's worthwhile to do that. I'll also, a lot of times, clean the handles. Gives them a better grip. And just cleaning my hands gives them a better grip, takes some of the oils off them. I use several tools for this, and my thinking on this is that some grapes are more revealed than others. This one's almost complete, this one's partial, these two are very partial, and this one's very partial. And you can see that I've recessed that below the more complete grapes. I think that that's how that'd work. If you think of a handful of marbles, that the ones that are recessed, you see less of it. So that's what I'm trying to do. When I have a partial grape, I'm trying to recess that farther. Interesting with the grapes, because they're rounded, the grain direction is less important. As long as I'm not carving directly up against the grain, I get away with murder on what I'm doing. I've got a spot here. This is my 512, and I've got a tight spot in here that's too small for that to get into. So for that, I'll usually go with the small skew. And it's a lot more tedious. Fortunately, like I say, I can go in a variety of directions to get at it. And once I'm in there, I try to make the best use of whatever tool I have in my hand at the time, just for the sake of concentration and efficiency. So I can see that all four faces of this particular recess are going to need some work. So I may not be working on that particular grape right now, but because I've got the skew, I'll stick with that and see what kind of work I can do with that. In these recesses, I've actually got to go at the chip from 3 or 4 different directions to get it out of there. And this one may need a little more work in here. So I'll work this back a little more because I'm kind of focusing on this grape right here. I'm working on that one. I don't have to get the recesses completely clean right now, because the cleanup I usually do with the V-tool a little later. So I'll try and work this back a little more, and it's tight in there, so I can come at it from 2 different directions with this 512. My light just flopped. I adjusted the lighting too so that you could see a little better. Normally I've got them both at 45 degrees, but I brought this one down a little bit so that it would go across and rake the grapes at a little different angle. I maybe should go higher on that to clear my arm, but when my arm's out of the way you can see the contours pretty well. And my plan of action here with the grapes is kind of work from the bottom to the top. The bottom is more difficult and requires the smaller tool. I go along with the philosophy to use the biggest tool that you can. And part of the reason for that, if I dig in here a little bit, you can see that it makes lines, whereas when I go with a larger tool, it doesn't have that tendency to leave the lines like the smaller tool does. But when I'm in a tight situation like this, Okay, I'm going to switch from the 512 to the 2012, or 520, just to show you where I would use that. I've got plenty of room in this recess here so I can work it down and work it back to get that rounding. I think in one of my other posts I mentioned that I've never used my gouges inverted like this as much as I have for this project, and it's really been enlightening to see how much I can to use them upside down that much. It's a different kind of control, but fortunately these recesses are almost like a stop cut. I can cut down to them. I may do more than one video. I think YouTube doesn't like you to have more than 7 minutes, and these grapes are slow really to see any kind of progress, or see the different stages in them. I really have to do some I'll have to do a longer video. YouTube doesn't like more than 7 minutes, so I'll cut this off in another minute and post a couple or possibly several segments of this video in the post. I think I've got a little more time, so I want to go on to what I do in the middle here. The stop cut method doesn't leave me a completely clean space in between the grapes, so I go with the V tool on that. This is a 12/6. And that's pretty good. It does leave a little bit of a line there, but I've got a long way to go on these grapes, so that line will be erased. I kind of go back and forth between the gouges and the V tool. The V tool is good for cleaning, but it also defines the borders between the grapes. So again, in the interest of efficiency, I'll do more than just the cleaning. I know I'm going to need a lot of recessing on these grapes to get them to look right, so I'll take more just because I've got the tool in my hand. Okay, let me stop the video here, and I'll post another one just below it.